I've been doing some pretty extensive research on the history of sitting presidents visiting the state line and found it to be an extremely rare occurrence. What I found is that two sitting presidents held a rally at RFD while campaigning for re-election. They were Richard Nixon in 1970 and Lyndon Johnson in 1964, but neither ever made it further than the airport. The last time I could find a sitting U.S. president who actually paid a visit to any of the 5 northern Illinois counties in our viewing area, it was when Ronald Reagan came back to his hometown of Dixon to celebrate his 73rd birthday in February of 1984. I could only find 3 instances of a sitting president actually visiting Rockford. Gerald Ford made 3 different stops in the Forest City, including Cherryvale Mall and the Winnebago County Farm Bureau on March 11th of 1976. Before that, you actually have to go back 91 years when Herbert Hoover made a re-election campaign stop in Rockford just days before losing to Franklin Roosevelt in 1932. Speaking of Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt is the first sitting president to ever visit Rockford on June 3rd, 1903, as president of the 45 United States. He was here to dedicate the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Hall, which we now know as Veterans Memorial Hall, in downtown Rockford. Roosevelt also made stops in Freeport and Rochelle during his visit.